There is nothing wrong with your radio.
Do not attempt to adjust the volume.
We are controlling the broadcast.
For the next hour we will control all that you hear.
You are about to experience the knowledge and insights of the Media Mothership.
Alright, welcome to the Media Mothership, broadcasting out of Edge Radio Studios here in Hobart, Tasmania. Very sunny today. As well as broadcasting out of Tassie, we're streaming on YouTube and Twitch. Just search for Media Mothership and feel free to post a message on the chat service there or SMS us. I'm PhD Craig, joined by BA Zeke.
Yo, I'm in the heart.
You are. Hey, BA Zeke, what's the SMS number here? Do you see it on the... Is there
the SMS number, I can get that for you. The SMS number, if you'd like to SMS us in, and we'll read it out, is 0488811707.
Thank you. Yep. So on Media Mothership, we explore how the media shapes our understanding of the world around us. And for today, the topic's going to be looking at the next 5 minutes of House on Haunted Hill, the 1959 Vincent Price classic. And we're also going to be looking at stress and music, how music can prevent stress, Netflix and the Dahmer show, Bruce Willis making news for his likeness, Melbourne knocking back the Neighbours media tourism project, and a meteorite allegedly landing in Tasmania. All that and more will be coming on Media Mothership here on Edge Radio 99.3. It should be an exciting show, I'm hoping. How are you feeling already?
I am excited. I'm ready to go. You know, I can't believe it. They're not heritage listing Neighbours, but that'll come up later. So,
yes,
you know.
yes. It will come up. All this and more in the exciting world of Media Mothership. So we're going to move to music in a sec. We'll play a little sting first. Is there a sting?
Is there a sting?
Oh, there we go. Yeah. I thought this would kind of get people in. Okay, so Media Mothership.
No.
Nice and chill.
I had no idea what that was, by the way, for anybody listening.
Oh, well, you know.
So I experienced it with the listeners.
Yeah, we're getting a little improvisational here. Now, the question might be on people's mind is, what was that track we played before we started playing Media Mothership? Zeke, do you remember what the track was?
The Our Fine Intro or the track before that?
Before that.
Oh,
Fine
before
Intro
that.
is fantastic. Thank you for bringing attention to that.
Oh, of course, I got to bring in. It's great.
It is.
Yeah, but Amy Winehouse, but what is it, Back to Black, I think?
That's
what we played.
Yeah. Back to Black, right? Yeah. So, that was Amy Winehouse's Back to Black. And we chose that specifically because there's this really interesting report that was being discussed in the Daily Mail online website, so a UK-based one. I was talking about a study which asked 120 women to name a song they listened to when they were sad, stressed, or in need of distraction. And then this song that they chose, which was sad, or one they listened to when they were sad or stressed or needed distraction, was then played back to them while they were eating. This was all under trial conditions. So the headline of the article reads, "Feeling stressed? ? Reach for the stereo, not the snacks. Experts say listening to music by the likes of Amy Winehouse, which we just heard, and Eminem can stop you comfort eating." Key takeaways are often people turn to food when they're stressed or feeling sad. Is that something that you like? Chocolate? I do. Snack?
I don't know. I'm not a big snack person, actually.
Maybe it's music that you're listening to alleviate that then.
Could be.
Because researchers have analysed how many snacks women ate after listening to music or during listening to music. So they're looking at the snack to music ratio. And women were made to feel sad who listened to music ate half the amount of snacks. Because basically they had two sample sets. So they had one sample set that were listening to music they associated with being sad and stressed and needing distractions. So this was the kind of top music that they would go to. And then the other sample set were just unmusic eating, right? And both of them had snacks in front of them, and they measured the amount of snacking that was occurring to those two groups. What they found was that tunes such as Amy Winehouse's Back to Black, which we just had there, Eminem's Mockingbird, and Linkin Park's In the End were amongst the most popular choices of songs to listen to, and that those songs meant women were eating about a third less after listening to that music than those that hadn't listened to it. Other music tracks included Coldplay's Fix You, and Sam Smith's Lay Me Down. So the expert that was doing this research, Dr. Helen Coulthard, an eating behavior expert at De Montfort University, said, if you're feeling stressed and you're worried that might lead to eating lots of unhealthy junk food, get your headphones on and listen to some lovely, comforting music instead. The suggestion being this could also help with weight loss, right? If you're not snacking as much because you've got your sad music playing, you might not put on that kind of unhealthy weight from snacking. The question was, why does this happen? How does music help people eat less? And the answer was they don't know. Yeah. They don't know. But experts have suggested that it could be because of the release of what they refer to as happy hormones, right? Which are like dopamine and serotonin, which can occur when you're listening to these songs that you listen to when you're feeling sad or needing a distraction. So that music might be releasing dopamine and serotonin in your system, and theoretically means you won't snack as much. Certainly those people that hadn't listened to that sad music before, having little snacks in front of them, ate a lot of snacks, and those people that had listened to music ate less snacks.
Yeah, and it does make sense because obviously if that's the theory, like I'm sure they don't 100% know that, but obviously within what people do know about dopamine and serotonin, and particularly with snacking and everything, the whole point of like snacking like that isn't because you're hungry, it's because you want that release of dopamine or serotonin.
Yeah. So
if you're listening to some sort of like a song or whatever, and probably say even if you if you watch a movie, then it will probably do the same thing.
Yeah.
So dopamine or serotonin release.
If your brain is already getting these signals of happy, what do they refer to it as? Happy hormones, is it?
Yeah, or just chemicals.
Chemicals.
I think they're...
If your body's getting those, then yes, I imagine you're not going to be as interested. The co-author of this research, a music psychologist from the University of Lincoln, said that, and to quote, I think the takeaway message is, if we're stressed, we might have the tendency to do something to make us feel better, which is what you're exactly saying there, Zeke. She goes on to say, and unconsciously, we might grab food because it's giving us positive dopamine, serotonin, and that boost makes us feel better. She goes on then to say, but think about alternatives like music, which can equally give you a boost and make you feel better when you're sad or stressed.
Yeah, and that did make me think as well, because as I was thinking about other connections, this is obviously for music and they haven't done it with anything else, but I wonder, you would presume that because music is just a form of media, that movies would also have the similar effect, so sad movies or anything like that. So maybe even, and that goes for a longer period of time, obviously a song only goes for 4 minutes or 5 minutes or something like that, whereas a movie can go for much longer, so that could even stop you from snacking as well.
What music do you listen to when you're stressed? Do you have stress release music or distracted?
I'm not a super big listener of music. Usually I just listen to what other people put on. But I'm not too sure what I actually go to. I have playlists. I can't really remember anything that's on them. Maybe I'll listen to a lot of probably retro stuff that I already know, like stuff from the 80s and 80s rock and stuff like that. Maybe that would be some stuff that's comforting. Or...
A song that came to my mind is Ryuichi Sakamoto's theme song to Merry Christmas, Mr. Lawrence. It's a sad movie and Pretty sad instrumental song.
Mm.
Dun, 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 dun. Well, yeah, it doesn't sound sad when I'm singing it, but yeah. So, yeah, interesting piece of news there about if you're feeling stressed, reach for the stereo, not the snacks. Probably another good reason to listen to Edge Radio. You know, I think we play sad music sometimes. We should probably have those as not a health warning, but a health advisory. Doctors suggest listening to sad music to stop snacking.
Maybe we should have like an hour of sad music or something. We have some sort of pre-scheduled, like health hour.
Yeah, health
to
hour.
help people.
Weight loss hour. Yeah.
Yeah.
Let's move on to the next song, next thing, and I want to play a little bit of a sting there to transition. Yeah, I can't really fade down from this though. How do I not get it to play constantly as well?
Kind of reminds me of something that might be in Crash Bandicoot. I don't know why.
That's right, like the opening menu screen,
Yeah.
choosing your character. Yeah. All right. Anyway, so next song, next bit of news. Actually, next bit of news is around the Netflix show Dahmer Monster, the Jeffrey Dahmer story. Have you seen the Dahmer story?
No, I actually don't know that much about Jeffrey Dahmer. But I have seen that came out on Netflix, only because if you go on Netflix, they have the big banner on there that says, "This is out now." But I haven't watched it, no.
Yeah, no, look, I haven't watched it yet either, but I have shared it to friends that have seen it, and they're mixed reviews, in fact, negative. So, no mixing, just negative, saying that it just felt like a real slog to get through it in terms of, you know, kind of unsurprisingly unsympathetic character, Jeffrey Dahmer, the killer, and feeling pretty like you want to have a shower afterwards kind of vibe. Anyway, what's interesting about this is that Netflix has removed the LGBTQ tag from this series after receiving wide condemnation from various community groups as well as LGBT community groups who have long suffered, I think, through misrepresentation in media. The association of if you're LGBTQ, you're going to be the killer. Right, so you know, a number of horror films and serial killers films have featured the person acting out as the a kind of violent individual as LGBTQ. The irony here is that, of course, in a Netflix show, there will be these tags on it, like horror film, comedy, as well as communities that might be linked to it. So, ironically, LGBTQ was linked to this film, even though its portrayal of LGBTQ identities, given that, you know, the series is played by Jeffrey Dahmer stars. He was a serial killer and homosexual. But, yeah, not a good portrayal of that. So, funny when the... be careful what you tag. I guess is the takeaway from that. The other story is Bruce Willis and deepfakes. Do you remember the stories around Bruce Willis? He suffered. He was diagnosed recently with having a health condition, which led to his retirement. It was.
Yeah, I know that he retired or something, but I didn't know.
Yeah,
it was some sort of illness or something.
It's a condition that meant that it was. Aphasia, which he was recently diagnosed with. The condition affects control of language expression and comprehension over time.
Okay.
So he'd been starring in many, many movies and increasingly B-grade movies, and there'd been this kind of real scratching of head, wondering why Bruce Willis, this previous A-star actor, is starring in these B-grade movies, and the idea being that, you know, he'd been diagnosed, and before his condition meant he was unable to act. He was trying to act a lot, possibly to get a great nest egg for his family. So what's interesting now is that Bruce Willis has become the first Hollywood star in history to sell his likeness, so deepfake technology will allow him to continue appearing in films.
Right.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Turns out that's already happened. Willis allowed deepfake, company called Deepfake, which makes what is described as digital twins, which have now used Willis's face already in a phone commercial. So the lofty aims of appearing in films has somewhat moderated to appearing in a telephone commercial or a mobile commercial.
Interesting.
Willis has said in a statement, "I like the precision with which my character turned out. It's a mini-movie in my usual action comedy genre. For me, it's a great opportunity to go back in time." He then added, "With the advent of modern technology, even when I was on another continent, I was able to communicate, work, and participate in the filming. It's a very new and interesting experience, and I thank our entire team." Yeah.
Does that mean that he doesn't need to doesn't need to do any of the filming? And they just deepfake someone who looks like him?
Yeah, I imagine it would be hiring an actor that has the body shape of Willis, and then they can deepfake over the top of him with Willis's face. I know who voices Darth Vader?
What is it? James Earl
Jones.
Yeah.
Yes, James Earl Jones recently sold the rights to his voice for Darth Vader.
Really?
So,
just to Disney or something?
Yeah, so the Kenobi TV series featured a digital composite voice for Darth Vader. It was actually a blend of Hayden Christensen, Anakin Skywalker, and James Earl Jones's voice, allegedly mashed up within that. And James Earl Jones, has now equally sold the rights to his voice, or given the rights to his voice, to be able to create new dialogue from.
Interesting. So what, they can use his existing dialogue to create new dialogue?
Yeah, they've probably got this huge library of all the words James Earl Jones has said in Darth Vader voice, and now they can create a deepfake.
Does that mean they put it through like an AI system or something? And then...
Yeah.
Yeah, okay.
So we have 2 AI systems currently that we've used in our show just in the opening theme. The music track was an AI composite from a from a
website.
From a website. Yeah, here it is. I'm just getting it up now. It's called... Anyway, I'll get it is in the show notes. It's in the show notes, but here it is. It's basically to get royalty-free music. What I came across was a website called Mubert, Mubert.com, and that generates tracks from procedurally generated music. You just choose, the mood you want. Do you want energizing, or the genre? It could be breakbeats, or a theme, corporate. I chose mine were all from science fiction video games. So yeah, AI, and then the voices we got were just text-to-speech voices from the Microsoft, 3 different Microsoft voices, the male, female, and Japan.
Okay, interesting. So you went with because we were workshopping this yesterday, going through a bunch of different services, and a lot of them you require paying.
Yeah.
So we didn't really settle on one yesterday, but you did it in your free time. And so you settled on Microsoft Voice or text-to-speech.
Yes. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Although I did go through a piece of software to do it. But yeah, I think it works quite well. But all that is basically not deep fake, but it's definitely AI procedurally generated music.
That's right. Yeah,
or at least the music is the voice to speech. Text to speech is AI.
Yeah, so we're not faking anyone who exists.
Yeah,
we're purposefully going with the AI.
Our plan, though, is to grow our own Singularity AI, or an AI to become the Singularity thing, like that Google engineer who thought that the chatbot he made had become sentient, had attained the moment of singularity.
There you go.
Hadn't, and he was placed on long service leave.
Yeah. I don't know what happened with that story. It was very weird. Obviously, it's hard to tell because Google obviously wouldn't want people to know if they've created a... Was it Google or was it...
Yeah, it was Google.
Yeah, it was Google.
And what was interesting afterwards was all the discussion of how scientists were saying, look, these chatbots are very much designed to mimic human language, so it's easy for someone untrained to feel they are speaking to a human, which is how many hoaxes and like entrapments for getting money and so forth can occur, because you think you're talking to a human. But there are ways of testing it. We might do a show in the future about testing ourselves with AI intelligence.
That would be interesting, because I thought he was he like a programmer or something? Or...
It wasn't exactly a programmer. He was linked to the chatbot that was being worked on, though.
Okay.
He was like a something engineer.
Okay, because I would think, from whatever his title was, I would think that maybe he would know, he'd have some of those protocols and training to understand.
He'd gone too deep.
Yeah, maybe.
He'd been in the basement too long. Next story you're going to be looking at is Melbourne Council knocking back proposed heritage listing for Neighbours streetscape. This really interests me because one of my research projects is on media tourism, locations that are featured in television and movies, and how those have had a life as a tourist location. So Ross Bakery and its alleged links to the Japanese anime Kiki's Delivery Service. Or Game of Thrones and so forth. This one's talking about Neighbours, which wrapped up with its final episode a few months ago. And there's been some wrangling because, of course, Neighbours is filmed, the front of it's filmed in a real suburb with real houses. And there'd been an attempt to get them heritage listed as historic, aesthetic, and socially significant locations. But the Whitehorse City Council had voted recently to reject that and to instead allow the homeowners to completely change that landscape as they wished, or their house and so forth. So, yeah, it's interesting. I'm talking about the pros and cons.
Yeah, it is very interesting. I thought, it was very interesting because the whole argument for the people who downvoted, for the councillors who voted against it, was that they want to allow homeowners to change it. But the people who were apparently the experts who they asked to create reports or, give their expert opinion on the decision said that people would still be able to change things about the house and everything as long as they keep the general sort of form and everything the same. You have to take into consideration that heritage listing. So you can still change it, is what they were saying. But yeah, it is weird. You'd think you would just heritage list it, because it is obviously, that's what I thought about when I was reading about media tourism. It's obviously a place that I assume a lot of people, maybe even people from the UK, would want to come and have a look at the place where Neighbours was. But yeah, so it was very strange, the reasoning when put up against the experts who apparently gave their opinion and was saying that this is what would actually happen if it was heritage listed, against what the councillors said their decision was. So, yeah.
I mean, yeah, it's difficult to know how you'd react, I guess, when it's a house you own, and it's directly going to have consequences on that. But, to me, from the outside, it does feel like a missed opportunity, particularly because it includes that little forecourt area, the public square space where they have a lot of external shots in Neighbours. That also, I think, is kind of unique and would be a draw card in terms of. But maybe part of the reasons why is that in a number of research projects I've looked at, the people that live in these places, like the person that owns the Walter White house from Breaking Bad, or the house in Halloween, really, really dislikes the type of entitlement of fans for their houses. So, for example, in Breaking Bad, the house of Walter White has this scene where this big pizza gets thrown on the roof. So there are cases of fans going to that house, which is a lived-in house, and throwing a pizza on the roof and getting a photo of themselves taken.
Oh, they just walk into the house and throw pizza on the roof.
It's on the roof, so they're standing in the front yard and they throw it up on the roof.
Oh, right.
Yard. And the scene is Walter White, had bought this big pizza, and it's this very dramatic moment, and he throws it in the air and it lands up on the roof. So yeah, people do that, but of course, house owners get stuck with this pizza on the roof, and the showrunner has pleaded with fans on social media to plead with them to stop throwing pizza up on the roof because it's a lived house and it's not their entitlement. That Halloween House also has problems with trick-or-treaters or people wanting to put pumpkins there and take photos and so forth. So it's...
It's weird that with the Walter White House that he hasn't captured, like cordon off the area where it happens and then, charge people money to get in. And be like, you want to throw a pizza?
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, you'd have to set it up as a second job. I don't know how much money you'd make. But, again, it is an interesting story in terms of, what would you do? I guess it's all about what type of fan participation might happen towards your house, right? If it's throwing something on the house, then that's...
Yeah, and I guess it depends on the fan, because I imagine Breaking Bad has a lot of younger fans as well, who are probably more likely to come and do that, whereas Neighbours, maybe the only thing you'd get is some older people coming, probably maybe from the UK or something, just having a look and going, wow. Maybe they'll knock on the door and be like, oh, can I have a look inside? And they'll be like, sure.
I'll hopefully just take photos at the front, but it would be awkward getting photos all the time. But part of our aim here on Media Mothership is we've discovered there was an episode of the ABC series Rosehaven.
That's right.
That was filmed in this very studio that we're in now. So our plan is to create media tourism here.
That's right. We'll charge everyone entry. We won't tell Hannah about it. Station manager.
Except on air, live.
But it won't get back to it. That's fine.
So keep an eye out for that project on Media Mothership. The last story I want to go over is a local Tassie one, talking of locations that I guess have a reality versus media reality. So in this case, the headline is Tasmanian School's Meteorite Landing Simulation sends thousands into panic. And I emphasize simulation because up until quite a while into the meteorite story, people thought it was real. Right, so this meteor landing at an Australian school, local Tasmanian one, had sent allegedly thousands into panic. I'd be interested if you were one of those thousands who panicked because of the alleged meteorite landing at Corpus Christi Catholic School in Lauderdale, near Hobart. SMS in now. Zeke, what's that SMS number?
The SMS number is 0488 811 707.
SMS now, or join us on the chats via YouTube or Twitch on Media Mothership to tell us about your panic. Were you taking arms up against a suspected alien invasion? So the story goes that, this panic had occurred after photos of a meteor landing in a playground at the Corpus Christi Catholic School in Lauderdale went viral and were shared around the world. These images depicted, and if you're watching our little YouTube channel or Twitch stream, you can see those images now. They're of suited up scientists examining what looks like a rock from space that had kind of exploded in the bitumen out front of one of the buildings and smashed it all up. So, quite a bit of production value there in terms of digging up a bit of bitumen, right? That's not a small effort. I can only imagine that there's been something already that had caused that.
Yeah, well, apparently in the article, I think it's closer to the bottom of the article, they were going to have it stripped up.
Right,
because
so it
had
already...
been there. I think it was already cracking and stuff like that, but they were going to have it ripped up, and then over the summer period, over the summer holidays, they were going to redo it. So they, I think, just tore up some of it and put this rock in there before they do the rest, and use it as an opportunity. I do like the idea of the story and everything of because they have this unique opportunity to where they're ripping up this bitumen anyway. They can just take out this area, put this supposed meteorite in, and then create a little bit of intrigue with the students. Don't know about the posting it on social media and stuff.
Well, I guess posting it as
real,
as a real unfolding thing. And I guess the background to it was that, as was explained later, the deputy principal, Ben Morgan, told NCA Newswire, as this went global, that they were trying to foster inquiries-based learning from the students, and they figured a great way to do that was to do something pretty wild, like create this, meteorite landing and make it look particularly out of this world. The story goes on to say both Tasmanian police and the local fire brigade were first to put out statements declaring the scene to be false after initial photos caused a stir or thousands to panic, as the article claims.
I think they should have waited until, I think they should have done it. Students come, don't post anything about it to begin with, just in case students look at it and go, oh, it's fake. So then maybe they believe it's real and they're like, oh, what's going on? And then maybe near the end of the day or something, they release something and go, oh, this isn't actually real, but this is what we did today, blah, blah, blah. Because then they could have avoided everyone going, what the hell's going on at school?
Yeah. So they say, Mr. Morgan goes on to say, they didn't expect it to be as big as it did on Facebook, which is a little, is it naive? I don't know. I mean, you can never quite tell what's going to go viral. But, I noticed on my Facebook feed, a friend I have had posted it genuinely thinking it was a meteorite explosion. And he was an ex-student of that school and had posted it up saying, can't believe my old school has had a meteorite landing. Yeah, and then he had to post back later apologizing and saying he felt very silly because it was a hoax.
Well, you could imagine, I don't know how many followers they have on Facebook, but you could imagine they have ex-students and all this kind of stuff, current students. Although I don't know what the user base of their current students for Facebook would be anyway, but they have all these people following, parents, all that kind of stuff. Are following this, if they see that and they're like, oh my god.
It would be, if there was an international student or two there, that would definitely suddenly spill it out as an international news story. They do say that it did get as far as Sri Lanka. they thought it was Sri Lanka, and maybe that is via a student that was there, or parents from Sri Lanka. Interestingly, because if you're disseminating false news, you can be in breach of Australian broadcasting codes. So you don't want to be doing a hoax for many reasons. One is because people get really pissed off by looking like a fool, but also it's illegal to do misleading news. That's just a sanitizer.
So Corpus Christi Catholic School, apparently 1.5k followers.
Is there anything on their posts recently? I wonder. They've just covered it up. Oh, there it is. Here it is.
Sunrise.
Yeah, so very interesting. So if you go look at their Facebook page, there's going to be more there. They talk about how they received praise, though. So rather than getting any negative press as a result of this hoax, the article goes on to say that the school's been praised for the unique experience, with real scientists also brought in to assist kids with their learning. And again, to quote the deputy principal, there's a lot of learning that's happening. The kids are working out how to remove it. They're creating machines, etc. So, yeah.
Yeah. Again, I do like the idea of it. It's really cool, right? That'd be cool if, there's a meteorite going in, or the teachers and everything going, oh my god, this is happening, or whatever. Big announcement maybe over the PA system. That's cool. I think they probably shouldn't, because we're now looking at the post on their Facebook page. This is the one that they made. They're thinking it was real, and it does just say it's a discovery day, but they say breaking news: a meteorite has blah, 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 and they don't say anything about it being fake. They have a post later, the one above it, from a day later that says it was fake, but they probably should have included this event is a simulated learning activity on the first post.
You can always trust Edge News. When we do a hoax, we'll say, a safety word, banana. So if you hear banana during one of our discussions, it's a safety word to let you know it's a hoax point.
Banana.
I'm going to play a bit of a clip now. So this clip is a teaser for the next segment.
The fun we had when you poisoned me.
Something you ate, the doctor said.
Yes, arsenic on the rocks. Annabelle, you'd do it again if you thought you could get away with it, wouldn't you?
Darling, what makes you think that?
Something about you. I hear that hanging is very uncomfortable, in case you get any more ideas. Don't let the ghosts and the ghouls disturb you, darling.
Darling, the only ghoul in the house is you.
And don't sit up all night thinking of ways to get rid of me. It makes wrinkles.
Darling, the only ghoul in the house is you. It's such a great line. This, of course, is House on Haunted Hill 1959, starring Vincent Price, who we were hearing there. Minute 11 to 15.
That's right.
Zeke, do you want to set this up for us? How do you feel 10 to 15 went?
It was pretty good. It came back to the... I couldn't remember what it was called. I just called it like the foyer or something.
Yeah, the lounge.
The lounge, something like that. It comes back to them. Basically, it takes place in the foyer for those 5 minutes.
We start in the bedroom. So that dialogue was
right.
between Vincent Price and the character Frederick. What's his full name? Frederick
Lawrence.
Yep, and his wife.
Frederick Lawrence. Yeah.
Interestingly, that dialogue we're hearing there, I was looking at the YouTube quotes, gets a lot of attention. There's one YouTube quote that says, "The dialogue between Price and his wife is classic, fast and sharp, and delivered so well." And another YouTuber had wrote, "If they made the entire movie just of Mr. and Mrs. Lawrence banter back and forth, it would be worth the price of admission. I love how casually the two of them discuss trying to get rid of each other," which is very much that scene where they're talking about Vincent Price's suspicion that the character of his wife has tried to kill him already with arsenic.
Yeah, it is very interesting. Obviously, we talked about it last week because this is just the continuation of that scene from that we were discussing last week. But it is really obvious when you watch the other actors are good, but you can tell next to him, Frederick Lawrence, who is Vincent Price, and also his wife, they are just really good. They really play off each other very well. They obviously must be really good actors. I don't know who plays the wife, but obviously Vincent Price is a very well-known actor of the time. But yeah, next to everyone else in this film, they really blow them away, I think.
So yeah, look, it's a pretty good ensemble cast. I do like the actor I'm going to play a little bit of a clip from next is Pritchard, played by Elisha Cook Jr., who has appeared in a number of other movies as always being the coward kind of bad guy. But the scene I want to play now is this great scene. If you've seen any of the social media stuff we've been doing, I featured this scene of a knife in this wooden log.
Right? I did wonder what that was.
Yes, this scene explains it. This character, who's one of the invited guests, walks over to this wooden log and opens it up. And it's kind of like, what you'd imagine would normally contain like a bottle of gin or something in 1959.
It even kind of looks like it should have a bottle of gin.
Yeah,
or something.
yeah. But instead it's got this knife, and he starts wielding it. He starts waving it around.
Oh, yeah.
Just casually. He's very anxious. And then he goes into this explanation. So I'll play this little explanation as the character of Pritchard talks about, I guess he's raising the terror level. So I say this is the kind of Terror 1 level. So as you know, in this 5 minutes of House of Haunted Hill that we're watching, we're looking at the 5 stages of fear which are occurring in a horror film. You've got terror, which is characterized by the ability to evoke anxiety and anticipation in the viewer. Then you've got horror, which is often sudden and fast-paced and involves present danger from a character or an object. Then you've got repulsion, where there's a situation showing physical pain, gore, unacceptable social behavior. Then the fourth one is recovery, when after one of those 3 stages, there's a moment of safety where you kind of debrief or deal with that experience of threat. And then finally, background, which doesn't contain any of the senses of danger. So here I'm saying we're moving from, kind of background scenes with some smoldering hatred that's there between the husband and wife, to a kind of moment of terror. I mean, while he's wielding a knife, the other characters just behave really neutrally towards him.
I would almost say it moves kind of toward, because there is sort of music cues and everything, kind of moves towards terror once you go into the scene. But I'd say for that moment where he picks it up, he closes the thing and he turns around and he starts wielding it, I'd say that's horror, but only for that short period. Because you can see everyone, you can see the guy who's next to him, he recoils.
Well, yes. He kind of steps back a bit.
But then I think they realise and go, oh no, okay, this is just a guy showing us a knife. And
it's weird. Like there's no screaming. It's an interesting moment because it comes out of nowhere, and he wields the knife as if he's going crazy. But the characters, I guess, they don't react with repulsion, right? There's no screaming, which would be a kind of a horror moment, which then spills into repulsion.
Yeah, I just thought from the fact that it describes at the point of an object, and the fact that he sort of, like, there was like a slight moment of that guy next to him sort of reacting to it, and everyone for a second probably looked at him in surprise and was like, oh, what's going on? But it's only for like a split second.
Let's listen.
So.
This is what she used on my brother and her sister. Hacked them to pieces. We found parts of the bodies all over the house, in places you wouldn't think. The funny thing is the heads have never been found. Hands and feet and things like that. But no heads.
The wife, probably in a rage, threatened her husband with a...
There we go. I like the idea of, it's like going on one of those haunted house tours where the guide tells you the story of what happened. And that's very much what he's doing here, I think. He's telling the story. And this is kind of like a prop you'd do on one of those haunted house tours. He gets the knife prop out and he goes, this was the knife that was used.
That's
to
true.
cut
I wonder
things up.
if, and obviously we don't know because we haven't watched any more than so far what we've analysed, but I wonder if that knife comes back later on.
Who's it?
Is
It's
it real?
yes, yes. Chekhov's gun is the phrase in cinema theory, where the filmmaker Chekhov said, if you're going to show a gun in Act 1, you better make sure the payoff is in Act 3 that gun comes back.
Yeah,
and gets fired. Right.
Yeah.
So yeah, a lot of movies are like Zack Snyder's Army of the Dead get bad critical reactions because Chekhov's gun logic does not play out in that series. Like, he sets up all these things and they don't play out. Like, why is the whole kind of zombies come back if it's raining dialogue not pay off?
And it's interesting.
There are all these things that don't pay off.
You can use it as subversion, obviously, but if you're doing it multiple times for like everything, it's not subversion anymore, or it's bad subversion. So
we had this great scene of Pritchard's character looking obviously very anxious. It seems to actually go through all those, kind of like a moment of terror where we see an object and an object of threat, and then horror as he wields it, and the character kind of staggers back a bit.
And then it goes into kind of recovery.
Yeah,
sort of.
Then we have recovery where he goes into a kind of, this is the script you'd hear if you're on a tour for a haunted house. Or have you ever been to a haunted house tour?
I have. I've been to, speaking of which, here in Hobart, Port Arthur. Even though it's out on the outskirts of Hobart. But Port Arthur, they have a ghost tour in one of the buildings there. I went on that when I think it was a grade 6 trip for my primary school when we came down to Hobart, and it was a part of the whole itinerary of when we were here. We went to Port Arthur and we went on the ghost tour that was there. Pretty scary at the time, but, well, I wasn't too scared, but like obviously as a child I was a little bit more scared. So I think if I went back now, it probably wouldn't be scary at all.
Well, and again, that's what we're training here on Media Mothership by watching House on Haunted Hill minutes 10 to 15 to gain media literacy around the 5 stages of fear, which are being employed to tug on our fear impulses. So this last scene I want to play is Vincent Price now has entered, so that set up this kind of spooky threat narrative of this is where these gruesome crimes were committed. then Vincent Price's character comes in and explains the lowdown to the group. He explains the game they're about to have. So we'll listen to this game, and there's a great bit of dialogue there, talking of moments, quotable moments from the film. There's a great bit of dialogue where Pritchard's character says, "like a coffin." So just teasing that out. If you're playing along at home, Media Mothership Bingo, that will be one of your bingo things.
I'll have the same.
Now, before the party begins, let's go over the details. The caretakers will leave at midnight, locking us in here until they come back in the morning. Once the door is locked, there's no way out. The windows have bars that a jail would be proud of, and the only door to the outside locks like a vault. There's no electricity, no phone, no one within miles, so no way to call for help.
Like a coffin.
So if any of you decide not to stay for the party, you must let me know before midnight. Of course, if you leave, I shan't be able to pay you anything.
I'm interested in your reasons for this, party.
We'll leave it there. That's the last of minute 15 for House on Haunted Hill, 1959, starring Vincent Price. How have your fear levels been going?
Pretty good. Personally, I have not been scared at all. But that's why, remembering that from the other terror that we had before, or the other horror that we had before, which was the chandelier coming down and the door closing. That's why I think that closing of the thing and then the knife being revealed and everything, that was meant to be for the audience of the time a bit of horror. But I was not horrified.
Yeah.
So
And yeah, they have those cues like the sudden sound of the like you see the knife being shown, he reaches for it, there's some sound effects, a spooky pheromone music.
Yeah.
So yeah, we've had an attempt at a scary scene, I think, in every 5 minutes.
that's right. So far, after I don't think there was really one in the
Of
intro,
screaming
but
voice, probably scream sounds.
oh, that's true. Yeah,
Scream
yeah, yeah.
sounds.
That's true. But that's probably So there's been something
Yeah.
every.
Then we had the chandelier drop, and in this one we had the knife scene.
It's also interesting that after every supposed horror moment, Vincent Price shows up quite soon after.
Yeah, looking neutral, rather
That's
bored.
right. He was above them to begin with, and then went to talk to his wife, and then after this latest one, he comes through the door and introduces himself. So interesting to see if that continues. To see if
Those beats.
after every he just appears.
Camera angles have been pedestrian at this point. A lot of mid shots.
Yep. There's a close up. There's a lot of close ups.
Some close ups. Not extreme close ups yet. So we'll see a lot of static shots. As the horror increases, there might be something. Well, that's pretty much been Media Mothership for this week.
That's right.
Yeah, next week we'll continue analysing the next 5 minutes of House on Haunted Hill, so up to minute 15 to 20, as well as bringing you further details and discussions around the world of media, industries, and cultures. Coming up next is You Can't Sit Down with Adrian. Going to be some great tunes coming. One last thing, a bit of a call to action. If you want to leave a comment or post a question on Media Mothership, there's going to be a voicemail link on the show notes, which you can get to via Facebook or Instagram, YouTube or Twitch, or on the Edge Radio website. And your message might be included in a future episode of Media Mothership. So if you go ahead and watch the next 5 minutes of House on Haunted Hill, you can leave a little voicemail.
That's right. You have any insights?
Yeah.
Let us know.
Of your own fear state.
Excellent. Yeah. So thank you for watching, and coming up, obviously Adrian, but before that we have Introvert by Jack Carlo, a Tassie song.